Hello, my name is Rod Peppiard and I'm the Minister of the Word in the Avenue Uniting Church congregation in Blackburn, Victoria, meeting on the lands of the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nations. And today my reflection has two voices, if you like. One will be mine and the other one will be the voice of Alison Overeem, who is a proud Palawa woman from the Uniting Aboriginal and Islander Christian Congress in Tasmania. I do so because with uniting churches across the country and with the UAICC, Uniting Aboriginal and Islander Christian Congress, that is a mouthful, we join together in a service of remembering, of storytelling, and in some lament for and with the Indigenous people of this country. The first reading or first voice is that of Alison Overeem. Obviously I'm reading it, but it's her words provided in a resource for us to use. She says these words: "Interwoven in the threads of mourning of the past, present and future, the cries of stolen lands at the colonisers' hands. Mother Earth weeping in mourning, dispossession, forced removals and broken promises abounded. Taken from the compass of land and law, declared unfounded. We mourn for our people. We mourn for our loss and grief too. We mourn for the cries echoing from the land, sea and sky. Creator Spirit, we hear you. A day of mourning is to hear those cries of the weeping land and first peoples of this land. It's to hear the stories of our ancestors and elders in the now. It's to hear and feel the cries with us as first peoples. It's to know the resilience of our people, and in the mourning of loss, to immerse in and engage with the healing. The celebration of not just a culture that survived but thrived. Within all the cries, we see the hope. The gift that first peoples, culture, history, struggle and resilience is to the wider church in all its fullness, richness and truth-telling. Mourn with us in the loss, but walk beside us in the celebration and gift of healing the loss through honouring our stories, our songlines, our being and knowing. Mourn with us, hear the cries, but hear the justice and healing." And in those last few words, there's the invitation. Mourn with us, hear the cries, but hear the justice and the healing. Hearing can be hard work. Alison's invitation recognises that. In the story she tells, hearing involves mourning, grieving. It involves not simply reading the words, but entering into the stories of the storytellers, believing them, honouring them, and recognising that their truth is not simply theirs, it's ours too. For me today, part of hearing is silence. So I don't want to say very much at all because that feels like I'd be talking over the top of the voices that I want to hear. That's part of the challenge in doing what we do in worship together with other people of faith and goodwill all around Australia. The challenge of letting Indigenous voices speak for themselves, even when it's in ways and with stories that I find strange, sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes confronting, and often deeply rich. Another challenge is that some of us might feel as though we do this over and over again. And we're being reminded over and again of terrible things and being asked to say sorry repeatedly for things that we personally did not do. And I think there's truth in that, and it's confronting. I have felt that. At the same time, I think back to something that in our family we tried to instill in our children when they were much younger. The notion that saying sorry isn't the whole story, but it's an important part of the story. What does sorry say, we'd ask? It means don't do it again. And we hoped that that was a way of avoiding the idea that you could just shout sorry as you kept running off up the hall, and that would fix everything, and that there was no need for any sort of change in behaviour or relationship. And as I see it, our nation has said sorry from time to time to our Indigenous sisters and brothers. But I'm not sure it's changed anything. My sense is that as a nation, we're still kind of trying to shout an apology over our shoulder and keep walking up the hall. I guess my thought is also coloured by the referendum last year. And I'm not sure that as a nation we're actually even into the sorry bit. But as I said, sorry is only the beginning. Sorry doesn't just look backwards, it looks forward, or it encourages us to look forward. Many of the things for which there has been an apology are still happening. Now, that's obviously not true for all Australians, and I know that there are people of goodwill who are working for real change. So how do we hear? What do we hear when we listen? And what might we do about it as followers of Jesus' way in Australia? It often seems overwhelming, doesn't it? And we can't fix everything. But there at least we stand in good company. Jesus couldn't fix everything either. And what's more, he didn't try to fix everything. He started where he was. He did what he could. He listened. He heard. And maybe that's part of our discipline, to remind ourselves to keep listening, to keep hearing. It's often hard to listen, to hear, when we don't seem to be directly impacted by the stories. Then again, the stories that I've been listening to this week about Trump and Harris and Biden and all of the rest, the stories that I've been listening to from our own country, don't have an immediate bearing on my life either. I listen to them easily enough. I said I don't want to talk over other voices, so I'm going to stop. I hope I haven't talked over other voices. But so that my words aren't the last that we hear, please listen with me again to Alison's invitation, or to part of it. The celebration of not just a culture that has survived, but thrived. Within all the cries, we see the hope. The gift that First Peoples culture, history, struggle and resilience is to the wider church in all its fullness, richness and truth-telling. Mourn with us in the loss, but walk beside us in the celebration and the gift of hearing the loss through honouring our stories, our songlines, our being and our knowing. Mourn with us, hear the cries, but hear the justice and the healing. May our ears, our hands, and our hearts be open to each other. Amen.